Chapter 21, and the Symphony serial killer strikes again. This time, Mr. Serrano cops it in the elevator. A couple of things occurred to me during the writing of this chapter this week. One of them is about the whole whodunit story, and I am not without doubts and misgivings about the way I'm approaching this. I've never written a whodunit story before. I've read lots of them and seen lots of them, but I hope that I'm seeding the information and building the suspense and perhaps giving clues or keeping you guessing. It's a very strict structure, and of course Agatha Christie's the boss of it. But I may have bitten off more than I can chew here in terms of it being satisfying as a story strand going throughout the book. So I'm full of, I've got quite a few doubts there. Hopefully when you discover who it is, that won't be disappointing or you won't feel cheated. It's a very tricky thing to get right so that it's not too obvious and not too obscure and a satisfying surprise, and that it makes sense. All of these things bubbling around in my mind as I was writing the chapter this week, as a microcosm of what I'm doing in the big larger picture. The other doubts that I had this week were about the killer committing the act and the killer getting gratification from it, and whether that's too dark for a story like this. This is meant to be sort of PG-13. I don't know. I feel quite uncomfortable writing about those moments and quite confronted and quite even offended or grossed out. I don't know. The pleasure that the killer takes in killing is quite confronting for me, and not that the stories can be all sweetness and light and nice things happening to everyone all the time. There needs to be jeopardy and there needs to be drama and conflict, but those darker, more perverted areas of the human psyche are not comfortable places to spend time in. Yeah, so that's that. Am I seeding? Are all of the elements of the whodunit story too jammed together? Should it have been more spread out across the whole thing? And when I've decided to place the reveal, is that too soon, too late? All of these questions will be answered when I get a bead on what the whole finished thing is in May next year. I was thinking about this morning, and when it is done next year, I will definitely have to go through with the big red pen and chop and change and even juggle things around, chapters around. Another point that I wanted to make this week, as we are in the murky middle of the story, in this second part, the second 13 chapters, I think I've mentioned before that I've divided it up into 4 parts, 1 to 13, 13 to 26, 26 to whatever it is, 39, and then 39 through to 52. We're getting towards the end of the second part now, and I mentioned also that I have an index card for each chapter, but some of them are blank here, and I was going to say I deliberately left them blank, but that's not quite true. I ran out of time in formulating the story, but also I was aware in the back of my mind that it was good to have a bit of wriggle room, and so these index cards are filling up as the story takes shape, and often I find myself writing a chapter and it's more than enough scenes for one chapter, so I'll just bump a scene to the chapter for next week, because we need to check in on the characters and things that they do have repercussions, and I often find that other scenes grow out of what happens in this chapter, so I just bump them forward. That's just a little look into the methodology of where I find myself at the moment, and I think I might leave it there for this week. it's school holidays, and I'm very hopeful of finally getting ahead, so that I'm not sort of getting by the skin of my teeth and finishing it on Thursday to put it out there on Friday, which will be great, because then I can go back and do edit and polish, and you'll get a better product in the end, and I'll be a happier camper. Alright, that's it for this week. Thanks for sticking with it, and isn't it a shame that none of them saw that video? The killer's identity was revealed right there from two different angles. Wouldn't you know it?